Hi there, Assassins, and welcome to episode 2 of Rally the Creed Live. So today I'm going to be joined by James Davis, who will be joining us very shortly. And it's amazing to say that James is a brand new member of the ones that came before. We're thrilled to have him. I'm just going to get him here in the chat now. 2 seconds. Hi, James. You okay, mate?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome. So, first of all, thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. This is episode 2 of Rally the Creed Live. So, we were originally a podcast with 5 hosts, and now we've decided to change it to the live stream format. This is to improve our community hangout communication and have a space every week where we can discuss all things Assassin's Creed. There's a lot we want to get into tonight. So, like I said at the beginning, James is a new member of the ones who came before. He is on the video content creation team. We're thrilled to have him, and he's also the first guest on the live version of our podcast. So, welcome, James.
Hi, guys. How is everyone today? Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Very good. So, lots to get into tonight. So, to give you guys a bit of a tease of what we're going to be discussing, we're going to be going over Black Flag. Obviously, it's the hot topic right now. Likes and dislikes, and maybe potentially what a remake could improve upon. We're going to be discussing the Assassin's Creed Netflix series, and we're also going to be discussing the Assassins in Need fundraising campaign that's currently running at the moment. So, James, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the Assassin's Creed community.
So I've been doing content creation via games for about 3 years now. About a year ago, I decided that I would play Assassin's Creed Mirage, and with doing that, my love for the franchise came back, and pretty much since then, my content has been Assassin's Creed focused. And then I got a lovely email from yourself inviting me to join, and actually it's been one of the best things I've ever done. I get to spend time with some amazing people talking about all things Assassin's Creed, so that's been fantastic for myself, and yeah, it's been good.
And that's really cool that you say Mirage was the game that rekindled your spark, because that's the one I'm currently playing through at the moment, and like looking back on it, it really is like a passion project, and there's so much about it that was obviously carefully crafted and compares to the first game, and I imagine it brought a lot of players back to the series, and it really is a special game, even though it's a smaller game compared to some of the RPGs, but there's a lot about it that people love, and like you say, that was the game that really reignited it for you. And have you completed Mirage now?
I have, yeah. So Mirage is the first Assassin's Creed that I've completed in a very long time, which sounds really bad, but I fell out of love with Assassin's Creed, and then I periodically played them, picked them up. So for me, finishing Mirage wasn't a chore at all. It was quite enjoyable. So it was great fun.
That's really cool. I mean, with Mirage as well, I'd also say that game had some excellent voice acting. And we here at the ones that came before had a lot of opportunities with the marketing campaign for that game. And it almost felt like a bit of a refresh for the series. And I do wonder if any of the elements of that will come back in future games, because obviously that was like a one-off stealth game. And then they decided to bring Shadows since, which has got some elements incorporated into it. But it was like I said, like a passion project, and it really did like call back to the original game. So that's really cool that we've got that in common, because Mirage is the one I'm currently playing through and have a lot of love for. So James, one thing I wanted to get into is your content and the sort of content you create. So you say you do Assassin's Creed videos and stuff, and what sort of things would you say you're most well known for?
I don't know. I kind of have a broad spectrum of content. Usually it's just gameplay videos I post. One of the big things for me with Assassin's Creed is the historical element. I love history. So for me, it's encountering all these characters that throughout history we would never have seen, and getting to see them be brought to life. So my content usually is, oh, this person was here, this is what this person did. And then I get comments, and I tend to reply to these comments, have back and forth with people, engage with the audience, as it were. And then I do some news content when that comes up. I try to keep everyone informed as much as I can. So for me, mostly just gameplay, and then we just sort of wing it from there, really, and see what happens.
I like it. Like you say, history is definitely our playground, but that's actually a good point that you respond to all the comments on your videos. I really like this. So it's like a more personal approach. And when I was doing recruitment for the video content creation team, this is one thing I noticed. Anyone who leaves a comment tends to get a video response, which is like a really nice way of engaging the audience. And also the other thing is that we were looking for a rebrand here on the ones that came before us TikTok account, and to have like a nice, like recognizable figure on there as well. It just worked really well for us. And some of the content you've created for us so far has been excellent. I mean, we've pushed now over the weekend past 5,000 followers, which was one of our targets. And it's just great to see that the TikTok account's performing so well. You know, we've got interactions, we've got people in the chat tonight. So it's really cool to see. We're thrilled to have you on board. So I want to sort of get into Assassin's Creed Black Flag a little bit. And I know this is a bit of a controversial one for you, because I don't think this is your favourite game.
It's not. And funny you should mention that. So obviously, Cicely Thrower did the 24-hour stream yesterday, and him and Laurie were doing a tier list, and I actually popped in to just say that Black Flag should be at the bottom of the tier list, which then resulted in a 6-hour phone call that we had while I was traveling back from Cornwall. So it was quite nice, and we managed to get talking about it. For me, it is controversial. It's not my favorite. I want to love it. I want to enjoy it, but I just can't. And coming back from Cornwall, I was like, with a possibility of a remake coming out, I'm going to force myself to play through the original and see how far we can get, and if it's really as bad as I can remember it being.
Wow. That's interesting, because Black Flag's one of my favourite games, and I think it's because it's one of the most unusual Assassin's Creed games. It's a huge map, you know, you've got the personality of Edward, the music's incredible, like there's so much like nostalgia for me, like looking back on it. I remember when it was released, I was sort of involved with the promotional campaign for it, and it was a really like special game for me. And I guess you picked it up a little bit later than me. I'll have been playing at launch back in 2014.
So I might have, yeah, maybe so. For me, so we were talking about notes between ourselves, and I saw that you'd put pros and like likes and dislikes, and I literally, my only 2 likes of Black Flag is Edward and pirates. That's it.
That's rough.
And it's purely and simply because I wanted to enjoy it when it first came out. Pirates, I love pirates. I wanted to enjoy it, but I felt like the story was weak, and it just never sang to me. Just never really connected. And the more I've this is something I talk about on my channel quite a lot, is my unusual disposition that Black Flag is one of the worst. And I come to realize that it's not just, there's personal reasons why I don't like it, but also for every reason that everyone dislikes the RPG games, all of the elements that are in the RPG games can be traced back to Black Flag. And I genuinely don't understand how so many people in the community can enjoy Black Flag but not enjoy the RPG games, because they do correlate with each other really well. So like you said, the map size, it's the second largest map size in the entire franchise.
Yeah,
So people complain about Origins map size, Odyssey's map size, Valhalla's map size, but then like love the size of Black Flag, but they kind of go hand in hand with each other.
that's interesting.
And like combat heavy, we went from, I know that Connor's quite combat focused, but Edward's a pirate. He's supposed to be aggressive, and he is, rightfully so. But people forget that the combat in Black Flag was so much different to what we had previously in the franchise.
Yeah,
Whereas you got like the newer games where it is very combat heavy, and for me it's, you can't dislike this one when this one has all the same elements as the RPG ones. I think it's one of the games that is closest to an RPG without actually being an RPG. And for me, they kind of both. It's like a tipping scale that you can't really balance it out because they're quite similar, all of them really. Personally, anyway.
no, it's really interesting, and I don't think this is a perspective I've come across before. That's why it's so interesting for me, because the most like Assassin's Creed UK like community members I've met are like in love with Black Flag, and I think a lot of people are really excited right now about the possibility of a remake. But now I'm listening to your perspective. I think you are right in the fact that you can trace a lot of the RPG elements back to Black Flag, like you say with the map, and then there's probably a ton of other things as well, like the combat and stuff like you mentioned. But thinking about it, that was like a shift away from a certain style of play. And like where other games before that might have been heavily stealth focused, even though that is in Black Flag, there was a lot of combat sequences, even like the pirating, the raiding, and there was a lot of that which could potentially be traced back to Black Flag.
Yeah.
Like you say, the map is huge on Black Flag, and I wonder if they do a remake, would they dare to make the map any bigger, or would that be just too big for an Assassin's Creed game?
My my problem is, and I mentioned it yesterday, is that unfortunately, because of the love that Black Flag has, I don't know if Ubisoft can change it
Right.
that much because it is loved, and I share my opinion with very few people, but there there are people out there that don't like it just as much as me, but the majority of the fans, they love it. It's a classic for a reason. So I don't think that they can change too much about it. There are bits I wish that they could potentially add to it that for me would make it slightly better. But overall, I don't think they can change it too much because I think it would just cause an unwarranted amount of backlash that Ubisoft at the moment can't really afford right now.
That is a very good point. And we've got a comment from Skaver. Would be too big considering that most of the sea was empty. Okay, too many chests to be collected. That's fair enough. Most of the islands had some form of chests to collect, but then, like you say, there is like the emptiness of it. But if they expanded it to like even more islands and stuff, they'd have to sort of add like storyline in there as well. Like, why did Edward go to that place at this
Yeah,
time? I think that's a good point because obviously it's like linear memory sequencing. How would that affect like the canon and stuff? And it could get quite complicated if they go by adding too much. Even like imagine if they added like new DLC or something, like with Matt Ryan as voice actor. I'm not sure how that would go down. I mean, obviously a crowd would be very excited, but then at the same time, other people would be like, well, they've released the comic book since and it clashes, and there is a lot that could go wrong in
yeah.
that sense.
I I personally think this, don't change the story because the story is one of my biggest issues with the game, is that he spends virtually the entire game as not being an assassin, and I understand that he becomes one at the end of the game, and we probably play one sequence as him as an assassin, but I think keep the story the same. Just give me an extra 10-15 hours on the end, something new just for the remake, and
That would be cool.
just give me because we were having this conversation yesterday that so when he dies, he's a master assassin, but we don't know how he got, because when he becomes an assassin at the end of the game, he's an assassin. And then when we find out in Syndicate that he dies as a master assassin, I need something at the end. I need to know how he got to that point. So I think if they added an extra 10-15 hour gameplay, just make it a little bit more, gives me a bit more story, gives us a bit more time with him as an assassin, it might change my opinion on it. I don't know, but that's what I need. Just add a little bit on the end.
That's a cool point. Loads of Edward's stories actually in like book form. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Have you read Assassin's Creed Forsaken?
I haven't. No, it's something I probably should read, but this, I think that for me, as I like to write in my spare time. So for me, I need to know how we get from plan A to plan B.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel with Edward's story, we went A, B, Z. I need to know how we got from B to Z. I need that little bit in the middle. Just give me a little bit more, a bit extra.
And the cool thing with this, that Matt Ryan is actually a massive Assassin's Creed fan, like before joining on the Black Flag project.
Yeah.
I actually had the chance to meet him at Comic-Con, and he was like super excited to be working on future projects.
Oh, good.
That was like years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I remember asking him, would he be interested in joining for the Assassin's Creed movie? And he said if they invited him, he'd love to be involved in it.
Oh, that's great.
He's just got like great energy for the brand. So I know 100% if they were like contacting him regarding the future of the brand, like 100% he'd jump on it, even if it was like an animated, I don't know, cartoon or something, you know, like they've done in Japan, or like the manga, or if they wanted to animate any of these things, 100% he'd be on board with that. Got a few comments I just want to get in. 2 seconds. I enjoyed Black Flag because it's pirate style. I did find the map very big for its time. It probably was like a huge map at the time, like compared to other games, and it still is a huge map for Assassin's Creed. So that's a very good point. And then when you look at Black Flag, it's also a good pirate game. So James might disagree with me here, but I can't think of like a pirate game that's come out that like matches it. I'm thinking, are there any really out there? I mean, Ubisoft did another one, didn't they? But
for me, there is a better pirate game out there. It was on the original Xbox. For me, it was a fantastic game, which was Pirates of the Caribbean. They did so it was on the original Xbox. You played as a nameless pirate that got to chase after the Black Pearl and all these things, which I actually really enjoyed. So there are great pirate games out there. Black Flag is up there, but for me, as a pirate game, it's fantastic. But as an Assassin's Creed game, I'm not fully with it. The same as Valhalla. I'm all for that. It's a great Viking game, but for me, it's just not quite there on the level of Assassin's Creed games. It's just not. There's something missing.
Yeah, I understand that one. And for me, Valhalla felt like almost like a legacy game where the assassins were pretty much gone.
Yeah.
And this game was like looking at the mark they'd left behind on the world. Does that make sense?
So I just saw in the comments, so Snake is one of my regular commenters on my videos that wanted to pop in and say hi and stuff. So it's good to see that we've got
Snake.
people coming over. I've also a lot of talk about the multiplayer. How did you find the multiplayer
in Black Flag?
Black Flag, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was alright. It's a sort of the similar concept to what they did with like Revelations, you know, with like the different characters, you know, like they sort of ran all the way. And I guess that was the last one, wasn't it, of the multiplayer co-op? Because then you get into Unity and then it's something different. You play as like a member of the Brotherhood compared to like the Black Flag, where you are like playing as one of the like Rogue, for example, and you're around assassinating. So I thought it was really interesting, but I don't know if it'll be involved in a remake title. So if they do a remake, will they make the multiplayer as well, and will they do Freedom Cry or any of these DLC? Because it's a huge project for them. But I think to this day there are still people that are really into the Assassin's Creed multiplayer, and like even though the servers are pretty much all gone, they still hop on, and there's an active community out there of, let's say, 100 people who are still really into it. But I played it a couple times, but probably not as much as I should have, because I guess it's one of them where you think it's going to be there forever, and then it's pretty much on
Yeah,
its legs now. There's not a lot of activity going on there.
yeah. So I've been having discussions about multiplayer and stuff in Assassin's Creed, and I personally don't think that multiplayer belongs in Assassin's Creed. I don't think it works very well, and I think Unity showed that flaw that the multiplayer will bring, because some of the missions were tied to co-op multiplayer and it just didn't work out. So I don't
Yeah,
entirely know how it would be, and I feel that the modern gamer won't won't deal with a poor performing multiplayer. Again, this is another risk that I think Ubisoft can either lean into it and wholeheartedly be like, "Yeah, I'm going to do this," or they're just going to get rid of it altogether. And it's a tough one to point, because they're at such a pivotal point now where they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. So it's really difficult to say what's going to be good and what's not.
yeah, it's interesting because when you think about it, Unity had such a different co-op style to Black Flag and the games before it. Like it was totally different,
Yeah,
but it had a lot of flaws as well. So it's almost like we haven't had like a great multiplayer option for Assassin's Creed, and now I'd say it's probably too late. Like they couldn't really introduce like a multiplayer or co-op, because Assassin's Creed is a single player game now.
yeah,
There's some interesting comments from Skaver. Optional co-op, I'm all for it, but mandatory is a huge no thanks. And that's a good point. It's like what James said before, like tying like chests and things to co-op missions. It's not really fair if you just want to play a single player game.
yeah. So I know that some of Unity's missions, I don't entirely know how many, but I do know that some of them were tied into the actual story missions, and it just feel you get people leaving, you get people rushing through,
Yeah.
and it just makes the experience really hard and really difficult. And I think optional, yes, maybe a drop in drop out system
Yeah.
where, let's say let's say we wanted to do multiplayer, we could drop in, take control of two characters, but the moment one of us drops out, the computer takes control of that character. Maybe that
Yeah.
could work, but I'm not sure about a server based model. I just don't think it will work very well for Assassin's Creed.
Especially in 2025 as
Yeah,
well. I mean, like you say, is that what the modern gamer wants? Because we're talking about a game that's 11 years old now.
yeah. I think people are just going to be focused on, especially the fans of the game. They're just going to be, let me run around as Edward. They're not going to be, if they want to play multiplayer, they're going to play the Call of Duties. They're going to play
Of
the
course.
Fortnites. They're not going to run to Black Flag to play multiplayer. So I would probably just cut it and spend more time on the game.
Yeah. This is a good point from Skaver. I guess with Shadows, they could have done a co op where you jump in as Nawe or Yasuke and clear castles. I guess they could have done that, but I think they were just so focused on the single player experience. They definitely could have done it, but I think if Assassin's Creed was going to go back to multiplayer, they would have done it years ago, really. I mean, they've had loads of opportunities. I mean, there's a rumor about that Assassin's Creed Invictus coming out, which is like a cartoon multiplayer game in development. But I think it'll be very much like Fall Guys and like these like cartoony games rather than like an actual like recognizable Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah. So I also think that Snake's correct. We don't need cheaters in Assassin's Creed games, and I think that would be a massive problem. But always also, to go back to the Shadows co-op, the problem, I think the reason they left it out is because inevitably someone's going to have to play as Yasuke, and I loved playing as Yasuke. But if you're forced, if let's say you and your friend are playing, one of you is going to be Nawe and one of you is going to be able to sneak,
Of course.
while the other one has to break through buildings and can't do as much. And then I think it would inevitably lead to people not wanting to play, or you'd end up with multiple Narways running around. And I think
Yeah,
it would be redundant to do so. So maybe that's why they left it out.
that's really interesting. And moving on from that, I wanted to talk about another flaw in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which I would say was the modern day.
Again, yeah. So I wrote some notes down as well, and that is actually on my notes. The modern day story is very weak, and
Yeah,
again, it was a conversation we had yesterday that Black Flag is the first story after Desmond. So I think they were worried of how people were going to receive another character so close to to Desmond dying. So they
yeah,
decided to be a faceless entity, but nobody cares about the faceless entity. And again, I think that the RPG games, right up until, so I think Origins is the first time we get a named modern day character
yeah. Later.
after AC3. And I think half of the problem is that it just hasn't been a great modern day, and I think it's mostly because they killed Desmond off, which was probably the way to go. But I think Black Flag again started off with a weak story, and it was the era of not great modern day stories, really.
It kick-started it, didn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, we were sort of getting to a place in 3 where we were running around doing like modern day missions. He was actually like assassinating people, and then obviously that was put to bed with Desmond's death, and then they tried to start something different. And like you say, the faceless protagonist, and then you think that's not the best one. There's the twist at the end, and then you get Assassin's Creed Rogue, and that's even worse for modern
yeah.
day.
We were also talking in about Black Flag's modern day, is that Black Flag's modern day brought in the era where you didn't need to be related to the ancestors,
Yeah,
and that was the first game where you didn't need to be related to like Arno or anyone. It was just anyone could pick up these memories, and I think that's when they lost a little
yeah,
bit, because the whole point was that Desmond was going back to his ancestors, and then we've got that anybody could go back to see anybody's memories, and I think that's when it became a bit weak, and it loses that sort of special that feeling of specialness that maybe Desmond brought on.
that's interesting, and also the importance of the modern day and like why they're learning the skills of their ancestors and like trying to find the pieces of Eden. It just became very like corporate, like a
Yeah,
big business was like a front for Abstergo, and they were just doing it to control. And it like I say, it just felt very corporate and retail, and do you know what I mean? Where it's like a controlling power, but
yeah,
not in like the sense that they're a threat. In the sense of like they've got, do you know what I mean? I'm thinking like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where there's like all the millions of people looking
yeah,
for the golden ticket,
yeah,
and you sort of lose that individuality rather than like where in the original games it was obviously like Desmond was there, and then he sort of moves on to the Brotherhood, and they're like training him to become like the ultimate assassin to stop the Templars, and it was like we were building towards something. Juno was a real threat, and then all of a sudden Juno's like an AI construct, and she's exactly the same as that now. Really, she's in the grey, and she is just like in the background. I mean, she was killed off in a comic book. It's not great.
I think the problem is that it also, I think with Desmond's games, the modern day was always portrayed as the Templars are winning, assassins are losing, we need to find these pieces to stop them from winning.
Yeah.
And then with Black Flag, it sort of went from that to, well, actually, what is happening? Like, what kind of state is this ancient war in? Like, and it seems to me that they've kind of forgotten where they are in the timeline, because it just feels a bit flat now.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not 100% where to go with it. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of fans actually want to get rid of it now, the modern day. But then I guess the movie was quite brave in a way, because a lot of the film was actually in the modern day, which is sort of, if they made the movie now, well, which they're obviously making the Netflix series, would they do that, or would they set the majority in the past?
So again, I've kind of had a pre warm up to today, because this is stuff we were talking about yesterday as well. Is that um I've when Assassin's Creed first came out, I wasn't a fan of the modern day. I actually really disliked Desmond. I just wanted to jump in and play as Altair. I didn't want this modern day story. That's not why I picked the game to play. Because if I can remember correctly, you might know a bit more than I do, but I don't remember the modern day being marketed as being part of the game. I, from what I can remember, it was just going to be a historical game, and then when the modern day came as part of the, like, it was a big secret, I think.
Yes, I'm not old enough to remember the original Assassin's Creed games marketing. I picked it up in 2014, but even from there, they even like then and like now, they don't really discuss modern day before launch. They sort of just like tease that there is a modern day.
Yeah,
Half the time, it's in cutscenes now. I mean, you think about like Unity, Syndicate, like there's no real depth to it, especially if you're just watching cutscenes unfold. I mean, you
yeah.
don't really benefit from this. I mean,
I
there is like a storyline going on, but until they like bring these characters back in like gaming form, or maybe in the show, or however they want to do it, no one really cares about the modern day.
Yeah, I think then again, I think it's partly because they when they killed Desmond, they didn't know what to do. His death created a a black hole, so to speak, and I think by that point, and then they left it so long, is that they couldn't fill the black hole. Now, I when Layla first appears, I don't really like Layla, and I can't really tell you much that happens during her modern days, but I can pretty much recite the entirety of Desmond's story,
Yeah,
and I think that's partly because they went nameless. You were just a nameless modern day character for so long that nobody really cares about what happens now in modern day. And I have noticed that a lot of people complain that there's not enough modern day in Shadows, but I personally don't necessarily feel like I need it as much now, because for me, there's no real doom, or there's no real risk of modern day. So I don't really need to know about it as much. I don't know about yourself.
now I'm thinking about it, I think there are other things out there now which sort of replace what the modern day could have become. So when you look about how like it dropped off in Black Flag, when I watch a show like Westworld, for example, which is like, I'm not sure if you've seen that, but that's like a corporate like business that's running this like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a theme park, and like
Yeah,
a lot of it feels very like Abstergo. And I'm sure there's like a load of other material out there which feels like the threat is real. Of like even like something like Star Wars has sort of done it a bit, where there's
yeah,
like the Empire, and like I watch a lot of things now and sort of compare it to what Assassin's Creed could have become, but it's decided to go in a different direction. I think personally they're gonna have to like skip forward in time with the modern day and like take it to the future, or even like bring all the characters we've seen and like put them all together somehow. Because right now, like even Layla's gone, it's just Basim really, who you don't know if you like or dislike.
yeah. So I also think that um, we don't necessarily have to go further in time. with modern day, why not go back? Why not go as far as Desmond's story? So while Desmond's in Abstergo, and Lucy's trying to break him out, why not be an assassin's team on the outside?
That's cool.
Why not be like, we don't necessarily have to be moving forward? Why not let's just tell us another bit of the story?
That's
Explain
cool.
to us what's happening at the at a given time. So while Desmond and Lucy are off doing their thing, why not have another team that we're a part of running alongside them, trying to find pieces, trying to help or something? It doesn't necessarily have to be in the future, but also I think they have to be careful with how far they go into the future. I think you mentioned it in episode 1 that the problem they have is that there's too many relatives of people alive
This is
now,
it. Yeah.
and they could potentially uh, warrant some unwanted attention by saying that X, Y, and Z were all Templar or assassins, or they did this, or it's really difficult on where they can go with it. So I think maybe go back, show us a different part of the story. Maybe not while running alongside Desmond. Maybe something else. Give us a William Miles origin story. Give me something else that doesn't necessarily have to be so far in the future. Give me something, anything in modern day that makes me feel something again.
That's really cool. I fully agree as well because I want to like modern day, but because they've cut it back so much, I guess even I don't care about it as much now. And I was one of the people who fought for it to be in the franchise for so long. I was talking to the writers of Assassin's Creed, trying to get them to keep it in. And like even with like the movie, I mean, they did bring the modern day into like a heavily oversaturated market as well, and like there's
Yeah,
loads of games as well that are like they've got like a really great like running concurrent, if that makes sense. So it's like
yeah,
they're not like future and past, but they almost have like a reason for doing all these things. But with the Assassin's Creed movie, like there's so much there in terms of like modern day, but it gets the canon wrong. Like it made like active mistakes with things, like the lore was jarring. I mean, if you watch the movie, there's tons of things that were wrong, like the backstory, and even like the Templars have never held a piece of Eden before when they actively had possession of one in the franchise
yeah,
game. It's almost like the full research wasn't done. So yeah, I don't like anything that like kills the lore, but I think it's really cool what you said about like having like going back in time and looking at a different angle, a different perspective of it.
yeah. I would also like to say that I don't want to know Lucy's backstory. Lucy can. I'm not a fan of Lucy. She's one of the most, gave me the most portrayed moment in my gaming life, and I cannot never forgive her for this.
Yeah,
But I think just it doesn't necessarily have to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be a strong conflict either. Just give me something that's going to help a little bit of, oh, there's so much of this world that we don't know happened. We only know one side of the story. Give me something else. Give me another bit that tells me that what we're doing is why we're doing it, and just help us a little bit. Don't shy away. But the problem is, I think, and I we were talking about this yesterday on Twitch, is that I think Ubisoft are scared of, once they open Pandora's box, they can't close it. So once they've given us something so far into the future, they will never be able to take it away again. If they give us, for instance, machine guns
yeah,
in the modern day, they have to keep giving us machine guns, because the moment they stop giving us machine guns is the moment when, again, fans will be like, oh, well, we had this and now we don't. So what are you doing, sort of thing. So I think they just need to be. They either need to be very bold and just be like, right, guys, whether you like it or not, this is what we're doing, and just give it 110%, and I think they'll be okay.
One idea I had years ago was that they created an Assassin's Creed modern day experience where you create your own assassin. So it'd be like like a RPG, with like the
Oh, okay.
customization options
Yeah.
and stuff, and you just have it as like your name, and like it's like you just pick your pronouns and everything, and people speak to you as your name, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
like
a good. That's a good
you can
idea,
have
actually.
you can have your own assassin, and it doesn't matter with the law or the canon because you're the one viewing the memories, and that's what matters. Whereas like the modern day would be like now, it's just like for example, you went and bought an Animus and then did it at home, if that makes sense. It was like
Yeah.
it's like you are the person who's bought the Assassin's Creed game, so you are the person who is your own assassin. I don't know,
Yeah.
something like that. And it's like, would that affect massively the canon and the lore? Because obviously, this is what people are going to comment on. But does it matter as long as the history is correct?
I think. I think the bit that they. I think the bit that they're struggling with is the fact that they have so many people that are coming and going, writer wise, that they can't remember what they've done or what they haven't done. So I
Yeah.
think it's really difficult. Regarding the Netflix show, I'm really excited that they've got two people from Ubisoft as executive producers, because I'm hoping that it will keep them in line and be like, well, actually, that doesn't work and that doesn't work. But I also want the writers of the show to actually go and play, read, research Assassin's Creed so they can understand what us as fans, what we expect from this series, however they want to present it. I just, I just think Ubisoft need to stop worrying about fans and just do what they enjoy, because that's what I feel like they did, especially with the first five games. I think they really enjoyed what they were doing,
Yeah.
and then it became okay. Well, everybody wanted pirates, so let's give them pirates, but then it
Yeah.
lost that magic, and I
It
think
does,
it's
it does
too.
in a way feel like they're ticking through the most popular and most highly requested
Yeah,
eras, if that makes sense.
yeah, definitely. I think again with Black Flag, I think everybody wanted pirates, and they gave them pirates, but as an Assassin's Creed story, it's not the best. It's fairly weak, personally, and feel like that's been the problem. We wanted Vikings. They've given us Vikings. We wanted to go to Egypt. We didn't necessarily want to be a Spartan, but they gave us ancient Greece.
Yeah.
And now we've always wanted to go to Japan, and we've done that. But again, the modern day is not quite there where it should be.
But this is the interesting thing. I'm wondering if now they've ticked off a lot of these like key highly requested eras with like Hexe, for example, can they go to more obscure eras? Because like Mirage wasn't particularly like a historical period I knew an awful lot about from school, where like a lot of these other periods are. So I'm wondering with Hexe, if that's, for example, in Europe and that's going to be like, I'm imagining like across Germany with like witches and stuff.
Yeah,
Normally, when you think of witches, you think of the witch trials in Salem and America.
yeah. So
Be a bit more unusual.
I I'm actually looking forward to Hex, because I think potentially it could lean into more of the mythical Isu side. Hopefully, that maybe they weren't witches. Maybe I think I mentioned this, that they could be assassins that the Templars are hunting down and getting rid of for witchcraft, but also potentially it could be that they were in possession of Isu technology that was giving them certain powers. So maybe that could be something that they're looking at. It's it's just the modern day. The historical setting is very important, on where they put the games, but I think they just need to have a look at that modern day and what they're going to do and what they're going to do next. I think.
Definitely. And before we wrap up, James, were there any topics you wanted to discuss?
Um, so there's a big question that I've been asking since Netflix announced the live action. I think they're also doing possibly some animation and some anime style stuff as well. I'm assuming, depending on how important this, how well this live action series does. My question for you and everybody in chat is: do you think it needs a modern day?
Okay. And this is in like the animations and things.
Yeah, so this is in the live action. Do you think that it
Okay.
needs a modern day per se? Because if we look at how I was looking at it, is that every game essentially is a season. So we'll call like AC1, that's season one, right? If we got rid of all the modern day stuff and just kept it as a historical drama to try and entice new people to watch it, do we necessarily need to know the modern day conflict, or do we just focus on that historical time period just to get people to enjoy it and watch it and possibly get a second series? And maybe at the end of the series, we have the main character go to sleep and wake up in a modern day, almost like a cliffhanger. Um, that's how I personally want a historical drama, not necessarily a modern day flick between the two, because I feel like it could become overly confusing. But I wondered how you felt about it, what you thought.
It's an interesting one. It's definitely something that's been like sort of requested for a while. You know, where there's a lot of people that think we should just cut it completely. But I'd be on the opposite end of the spectrum because I'm a huge fan of the modern day. I would want them to bring the threat back in modern day. So like the
Okay.
first one, Desmond's kidnapped. I wonder if they could maybe do something like that and have like a sense of the clock is ticking, time's running out. You have to do this for the company. I know what you mean, though. The flicking back and forth, and they have to get the balance right. So I think they would have to bring a modern day in, or the historical bit doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Like, there is always a reason we're looking at history. We're trying to learn from our ancestors. There's always like a piece of Eden we're trying to locate or something. So, in my personal opinion, Assassin's Creed only exists because of the modern day, and there has to be some kind of balance between the two and a reason we're looking to the past. Because if it's just history, then what happened in the past doesn't matter for the future. But me personally, I think they definitely do need to get some kind of balance. Maybe the movie got the balance wrong. Maybe there just needs to be like a little bit of modern day. Maybe a whole modern day episode, then the rest history, and then modern day at the end.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. Or maybe what would be cool would maybe they could do like a modern day series and then like a historical series, if that makes sense. And then you watch one episode, you know, like The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, where
Yeah.
you watch two shows, like one episode and then an episode of the other one, or you watch like a modern day episode, but you don't necessarily need it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can watch like a modern day one, a historical one, modern day, and you sort of go back and forth. Like, I mean, a while ago we used to watch The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and then I don't know if you're into your DC comics, but that was really cool how they all
Yeah.
like connected up. But you didn't necessarily have to watch every single one. So that's one way they could do it. But for me, modern day has to stay because at this point, who really cares? Like,
Yeah.
I
I
want people to care, so they have to do something to make us care about it.
yeah. I also think that um, I think in the game, yes, we'll have. I think we need a modern day because us as gamers, I think we need that ourselves. But I think with a TV show, especially with Netflix, series are so fragile with Netflix that if it doesn't perform very well, Netflix will just close it down. And my worry is that if they do that, then we won't be able to see other projects be brought to life either. So I was personally thinking that if they just kept it as a historical drama, maybe I understand that we need the modern day, but we need the modern day because us as gamers, we know that there's a conflict in the modern day. But maybe somebody watching Netflix and watching it for the first time, maybe they could just keep it. Imagine like Ezio's story without Desmond's sections, and it's Ezio just going through. Maybe that could capture someone's thought, and maybe they then learn that we do the modern day. I just personally don't think it necessarily needs one just for the first season. Maybe just get people involved and enjoy it. Maybe, but that's it really. And then
I think we've hit both sides of the spectrum on the modern day debate.
Yeah.
It's really good.
But also, I wanted to talk about the fundraiser as well. Obviously,
Absolutely.
we hit £1,000, which was fantastic, and that's great. And obviously, I wasn't aware that this is something that we do here until actually joining you guys. So it's been great to see, and it's been fantastic.
And thank you for the support, everyone who's donated, everyone who shared it. I mean, to reach £1,000, that was our third target. Originally, we were going for about 500, then we boosted to 800, then £1,000. It's incredible, and it really does make a difference to people suffering the consequences of blood cancer around the world. So a massive thank you. And everyone tonight who's donated gifts. I know Lucas from work, he's a big supporter of mine. He's been throwing in gifts all night. I really appreciate it.
That's my partner, Nikki. That's my. So she doesn't play video games, but she watches me play, and she picks the next game after I finish one to play. So she's a very big supporter, and has funnily enough, enjoyed the film, which not many people do. And that's what I thought, that if somebody who hasn't ever seen Assassin's Creed, if they watch the series, are they going to understand the flick between modern day and historical setting? But
it's a good point. So, one last thing I'd say about the Netflix series. Can you imagine if they just picked up from where the movie left off and got like Michael Fassbender like 10 years in the future as Cal and went back to do Aguilar? That'd be crazy.
I think that would actually be... that would be good, because even though, as you said, the movie had some glaring problems, I actually enjoyed it as an action film. I enjoyed it. As an Assassin's Creed fan, probably not so much. So I actually think that if they did that, it would make the film so much more enjoyable if we knew there was another bit of Cal's story that we could deal with. And maybe they should put Cal in a video game. Maybe that would be that'd be quite good as well.
And I guess my final question for you is, which character do you think you're most like in the Assassin's Creed series?
Okay, so I saw this on your notes, and I've been thinking about it for a while. I'd like to say I was like Ezio the most, as he is the best. But I don't know, maybe I don't think I'm anything like one particular one. I think I'm like all of them, really. I think when I was very younger, I was very much like Altair at the beginning of AC1. I was very brash, I knew better than everybody else. But as I've got older, I've sort of mellowed out a little bit. So probably if I had to pick somebody, I'd probably say Jacob.
Okay, yeah.
He likes to joke around. That's what he does to protect himself, is make jokes. So that's probably the closest I can be to anybody. But what about yourself?
Everyone likes Jacob, so that is a good answer. I'm going to have to go with a bit of a boring one. I'm going to have to go with Cal Lynch from the movie.
Okay.
I think he's quite like tactical. He's quite reserved, and he doesn't give too much away. And I guess in the sense as well that he's sort of like playing the big game. He's thinking about the big picture, and I guess I can relate to that in some way. And that sort of like he doesn't really want to be part of the struggle, but he does it for the betterment of everyone. So I guess there's some like links there for me where
Yeah.
like I never really wanted to be like a public figure in the Assassin's Creed community at first, where it was more about like serving the community. But then through like Ubisoft's like trips and things, I guess I'm probably the most well known UK assassin at this point. Where
Oh, it's fantastic.
yeah, but yeah, I guess I'm probably like Cal. I guess would be the closest I can give. And TikTok's trying to end our live stream in 3 minutes, so I'll wrap it up there, guys. Massive thank you to everyone who's donated gifts, and we will donate that money to Assassins in Need. You have until August the 1st if you've not donated yet. And next week we're going to be joined by Calvin Rightway, who is one of our Assassin's Creed content creators here at the Ones Again Before. I just want to say a massive thank you to James for joining us tonight, and to everyone in the chat who's been supporting us, asking great questions. And we'll see you next week for Rally the Creed number 3. And we're going to be doing this every Sunday, and hopefully see you all in the chat. Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
See you soon, Assassins.